Well, good morning, Wareham. It is Monday, July 29th, and we have a great show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and of course, today in history. This morning, Kat Jones, the Queen of Onset, talks about the past two Summer of Love performances in Onset. Also, Scott Record shares his secret to classic clam chowder. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay tuned because the weather and the news headlines are next. Well, contrary to how we began our day this morning, it will be mostly sunny today with high at 85, partly cloudy at night with stray showers and thunderstorms are a possibility. Low around 70 degrees. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies with high around 85 and low at 69. Listening to the weather this morning, there's been a heat advisory warning in effect that started this morning at 8 a.m. and will continue until 8 p.m. tonight. And the same goes for tomorrow. So make sure you stay hydrated and hold on to that air condition. So that's for the weather. There were a lot of news headlines, and we'll be back with the news stories. Wareham Week at the following stories. That is, registrations are now open for Gateway Baseball Summer Camp, which is open to 11-year-olds to 14-year-olds players. The camp will be held from 9:30 a.m. to 12 over 4 Sundays, August 11th, 18th, 15th, and September 1st. At the camp, players will work on proper fielding and throwing mechanics, basic hitting skills, base running skills, repetitive drills, and station and scrimmage and game-like situations. It will be held at Washburn Park and Dexter Field in Rochester, and registration costs about $150. For more information or to register, please go to www.gatewaybaberuth.com. And also the same from the Gateway Regional, and that is 4 baseball registrations will begin from September 7th and run through the end of October. There are 3 fall divisions, 14-16 wooden bat varsity, 12 to 15-year-old open division, and the 17U Gateway ABL fall ball team. The 14-16 wooden bat division is open to those who are at least 14 and try out. It is highly competitive league, and each town should have at least one team representing them. The 12 to 15-year-old open division league is a good league for 12-year-olds to get acclimated to the large field and for all other players to work on their skills. The 17U team will compete in double headers on Saturdays and Sundays, and is for players who want to play for the Gateway Varsity team and Region Ball next year. For more information on how to register, please go to www.gatewaybaberuth.com. And also this Sunday, the public finally got to meet Mama and Baby Donkey during Peace for Ponies open house. Peace for Ponies was established in East Wareham about 6 years ago with a pursuit to save kill-pen horses from livestock auctions. Residents can help Peace for Ponies in several ways, from providing money for vet bills to baking an item for the bake sale, or donating fencing, gates, wood, and other building materials. To learn more about Peace for Ponies, please find out how you can support, please visit their shelter website at peaceforponies.com or visit the Facebook page, Peace for Ponies. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more. we talk about toys special for children with autism, what do we mean by it? How are they different?
So they're sensory-based toys. So they can, like the jewelry, they can chew on it.
Okay.
And it's made for that. Or the lap pads, they're weighted, and the animals, they're weighted. And children with sensory, some of them, the weight calms them. Some of them need compression. Some of them need weight. Some of them need something cold. So it's a matter on finding what works for what kid.
Now, you're not only a businesswoman, but you also, as I said, a mother with two children with autism. I mean, tell me how effective these toys are. How diverse are they?
They really are great.
Okay.
I don't think getting through meltdowns and things like that would be possible without these toys. It would definitely be more overwhelming for parents without them. Like my son, when he has a meltdown, we have some Muddy Cove healers over there, and I put mine in the freezer. And when you put those on him, he calms down. And if that doesn't work, then he goes in his chair, swing in his room, and we swing him. And then he starts laughing, he forgets, he refocuses, and...
So tell me about piercing it together. Where does that name come from?
Well, puzzle piece.
Okay.
Everybody creates a puzzle piece thinks a puzzle piece with autism, and it pretty much is that. You're piecing your life together in different little pieces. You're always here, there, and everywhere as a parent, so piecing it together.
And what should people understand about autism and parents with children with autism?
Just because you know one child with autism doesn't mean you know autism. Every child is different. And if you see someone having a meltdown, don't judge them, because that's the biggest thing that parents get is judged. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And every child's different, so.
Well, last week I visited Scott Record's home to learn a little more about his classic clam chowder recipe. It was delicious. And you too can learn to make it right at your home if you listen very carefully at how he makes his.
You'll get to see it, we'll get to taste it, then you'll get to make it.
I'll take you far away, far away, far away.
Hi, this is Scott Record. We're here on beautiful Buzzards Bay. Real Capey day. I'm here to show you how to make classic clam chowder from start to finish. By start, I mean I'm gonna dig the clams. This is my clam rake. I've come out here at low tide. The way you find them, you know, the clams around here are called quahogs, which is an old Wampanoag Indian term, quahogs, but they're sea clams. The big ones are called bulls, the little ones that you eat raw are cherry stones. So I'm gonna feel around with my foot while I'm talking to you. I'm looking for what feels like cobblestones. I'll feel a little bump. There's a bump, and there's a couple of bumps. So then I take this rake, go in, rake it in the sand, and lift it up. Let me find that bump again. There we go. Hold on. Success. Success. All right. If you can look and see in there, I just got 5. That's a nice haul. And I always bring my trusty life preserver in my old bucket. That's a bushel, and that's what's allowed. I have my clam license in my pocket. We do everything legal. This is a bull. This is probably half a pound of meat in there. That's a bull one. Another bull. Come over here. There's nothing fresher than this. Look at these dudes. These are 2 kind of big cherry stones. In fact, I'll show you how cool this is. In my pocket, always carry your shucking knife. because I'm an old shucker, and I've been shucking for years. So what you do is you come in the side with the shucking knife. Boy, these guys, woo! He's tough. You find another one. When they're right out of the water, they're so tough to get into. But I'm gonna get this guy. I'm in. Come around like this. Bring the shucking knife around. He's open. There's a couple of muscles you have to cut on the side. And then, voila. That's the baby. So you take the knife, go around the outside, cut this film off. It's all part of it. It's all edible. Comes in like this. I now have a loose clam that I just got out of the ocean. And it's in my belly. I love it. There's nothing better. Once the clam chowder's made, a perfect matching would be a very fine Puligny Montrachet, which is a very, very fine white wine from the French region, near the Bordeaux region, but actually, isn't Mother Nature wonderful? It's Scott, I'm back at the house. We're inside now. We've dug the clams. We dug up the Puligny Montrachet, which is now being chilled. We're here for classic clam chowder, and you have to start out very beginning with salt pork. You have to have a piece of salt pork, and you have to have it slightly frozen because it cuts easier. I'm gonna do a magic trick and appear with the salt pork. See nothing in my hands? Boom, magic. All right, this is salt pork. This is about 10 ounces of salt pork, and it's sliced. It's pre-sliced, which helps you cut it down into little, tiny little chunks. But it's frozen, it's partially frozen. It makes it a lot easier. So if you see how it's cut? It's already sliced that way. So I'm gonna take it and cut it this way. Nice big cast iron Le Creuset pot. This goes here, and this all goes in at the same time, all this salt pork. I've got the smallest amount of heat on there, and there's the pork. I'm gonna put the cover on this cast iron Dutch oven, and it will render down. Now, potato time. So these potatoes are organic Yukon Gold potatoes. Because of the flavor, the Yukon Gold is excellent. I won't peel these. We'll wash them and use the skin because all the nutrients are in the skin. And I stress organic in every ingredient in this because, let's put it this way, it takes 5 cucumbers from the regular store to give you the same amount of nutrition as 1 organic cucumber. That's why people may sometimes be a little bit larger, because we have that caveman need for nutrition like the cavemen had. Same thing, we're just humans with basic DNA, the same thing. We require that nutrition, but because of hybridization and GMO and all the kind of stuff that they do to vegetables now, you need 5 vegetables of regular quality to be equal to an organic vegetable. So you eat more to try to get more nutrition. Anyway, here's the organic Yukon Gold. I'm gonna rinse them off, and then I'm gonna come back and show you how I like them cut. So here's what I'm gonna do. When we cut the veggies, when we cut the celery, when we cut the potatoes, I want big chunks. Because what happens is if it's left there to cook for a long time, be it a soup, be it a chowder, be it anything like that, if it's left in the wet and cooking for a long time, it will disappear. It'll just cook away. So big chunks potatoes, big chunks celery, ends up having a nice, hearty chowder at the end. So when I was in the water earlier digging the quahogs, this is what we came up with. These babies right here, all right? Beautiful. Different sizes, lots of meat. And when I want a clam chowder, if I go in a restaurant, I want to taste the clams. I want the clams to be there. So I want to save the clam meat, which will be saved in a colander. But the colander will be in this pot so that I can save the clam juice, because that's a big, big part of the chowder. To do this correctly, I have my clamming knife, my shucking knife here, very special, my favorite one. And then this glove, it just looks like a white mesh glove. It's a metal mesh, which if anybody's going to be shucking clams, I would highly recommend finding yourself one of these, because you can just hit it by accident, but you're not going to puncture, you're not going to cut your hand because of the metal mesh. And I've had this from a dear friend. Tom Casella gave me this 6 years ago. It's the greatest thing. So now, here's the quahog. And of course, as you know, the two shells come together at this seam. They're holding it together with a muscle. So I hold this in my palm, put my knife there. And I get in, I actually crack that shell, but see the juice coming out? That is gold, folks, right there. Liquid gold. So it gave me a little bit of problem by cracking the shell, but I go around the sides. There's a muscle on each side that I want to sever. Now she opens up. Cut this little ribbon, which is their seal. I think it's their seal. And cut the seal around the top, cut the seal around the bottom, like that. The whole clam meat is in there, and the shell is right here. And we will just continue on with all of these clams. By the way, do you see the purple on the outer edge of the inner shell? The purple, the Wampanoag Indians would call wampum. They would break this purple off like this. This shell has lots of wampum. This one has a bit on the ends. So they would break it up, and it was their form of currency. They would use wampum to buy things, to exchange animals and this, that, and the other into. It was an amazing thing. So this is one incredible shell with wampum. It's like 2.5 pounds, as I said, of clams. It's nice to put them in a long cutting pattern, because then I really only have to go through it once. But there's some gigantic pieces in here, and then they'll just be good-sized chunks. And so it's salt pork, so it's salty. I don't put any salt in it. I use unsalted butter. I'm going to put the clams in with the clam juice, and then put the potatoes in. And everybody will start getting real friendly. It'll be like a nice community meeting. So here we are. What we have in here now, we started with the salt pork and cut it up into little bits and rendered it for an awful long time, so there was quite a bit of fat. And I don't use any salt while cooking because that salt pork is salty. Then we cut the vegetables. We cut the onions, the celery, in big chunks. Cook them in the rendered salt fat. Then I've taken the clams. The clams are chopped, and they're in there, 2.5 pounds of clams. The clam juice is in there, and now that we're boiling a little bit, I'm going to take those beautiful Yukon Gold potatoes, and in they go. I don't want to splatter. Like that. Just let them go a little bit. I want to see pepper. I want ground pepper. So look at this. Look at this. Look at what happens here. Look at, can you see that? Isn't this wonderful? So now we're back here with the thickener, and the product is now just about finished. We're boiling, which is great. The potatoes are soft. The clams are in there, everything's in there you've seen from start to finish. And now, put a little bit flour and water mixture. Because it's boiling, we will get thickness. I don't like very, 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 very thick. And then we will finish it off with some cream. I don't know who this guy is over here next to me. Actually, a boat washed up on shore with Italian written on the side of it, Italian words. And this guy comes up here and he's hungry, so we're gonna give him some chowder. I'm Pietro.
I'm Pietro.
I am Pietro. From Italy, a boat washed up on shore. I mean, I've had San Salvador people wash up on shore, but this is a first. So, tell me what you think.
It looks delicious. Big chunks of potato.
Yeah.
You know,
Plenty of clams.
It's funny how you said that you didn't put any salt, because
Right.
everything would have natural salt, and that's what you taste.
I hope the finish is worth it.
Oh, it's delicious. Thank you so much for having us today.
We're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
We're gonna cook something else for you soon, so stay tuned. I'm eating. No more talk.
You know what, Doc? This is good.
Mm.
Well, unlike the video that I believe took about maybe 12 and some change minutes, it was a long production. So I just want to disclose that to you. Just to go and harvest the quahogs and preparing, that was about 1.5 pounds of meat there. That took some time and some muscle. So just prepare yourself. I'm not telling you not to do it, but just prepare yourself. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more. Well, and now Kat Jones sits with our colleague here at WCTV to talk about the past 2 Summer of Love performances in onset. Take a look.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to our Summer of Love series. I'm here with Kat today.
Hey,
Kat, how are
hey,
you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Hi, Mom.
And today we're going to talk about the past 2 shows with 57 Heavy and the Dave Richardson Band. Yeah. So how did you feel about 57 Heavy's performance?
Oh, they were awesome. I just love those guys. I've worked with them numerous times over the years and have gotten to know them, you know, as friends and as musicians, and they're just amazing in all respects. And I was happy to bring the show back to Onset. They were with us, I guess, 5 years ago.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep. See, they did a very similar show. and I mean, obviously, you saw the size of the crowd. I mean, there had to be 1,200 people there.
A lot of Pink Floyd fans.
Totally engaged. Yeah, it was really just, it was a great show. I thought a great turnout. I'm glad that the weather cooperated for that show so that we could have it at the band show. It would be a totally different story, tech-wise, if we had to have it at the VFW. But I'm glad the weather worked out, and people just, I was watching. I was observing the people, and it just, everybody was like so engaged in the show. They were just,
a lot of energy.
A lot of focus, absolutely. And it's just nice to see people sit back and appreciate it. And I know our fans totally appreciate what we offer. You know, we bring top-notch entertainment to Onset, and people just love it.
Do you see a big difference between hosting at the VFW versus the band show? Like, what differences do you see with those two different locations? Yeah, so, you know, obviously the setting is very different. I like the vibe at the VFW. I think it's really cool. I don't know how it was for you, but the acoustics down there are just dynamite, I think, you know. So I doesn't matter to me where we are, you know. I know our fans prefer the band shell, the bands prefer the band shell, which is fun. More people are just familiar with it. They know where it is. It's very central. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So you know, of course, we had Dave Richardson Wednesday night at the VFW. What were your thoughts on that? I thought he was fantastic, and Jan Schmidt on the vocals is just dynamite, you know, and the band that he brought together for the evening was just dynamite. Definitely. Yeah, and you know, we had obviously a smaller crowd, which is fine, but the I don't know, 150 maybe people that were there Wednesday night certainly enjoyed the show.
They're very loyal despite the rain and everything. They stayed, they stuck through.
I definitely appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, so it's nice that we have a place that we can go to when the weather doesn't cooperate. So, and it rained. It rained. Oh my God!
It rained in a port.
Yeah, and you know, and the lightning was a concern too when you're dealing with that much equipment and whatnot. You know, Woodstock comes to mind, and you don't want to electrocute all your musicians.
Yes.
So you know,
cause a lot of problems.
No, certainly not. So I mean, they had a great time. Dave's show was in memory of a woman named Cindy. Her family was there. They actually supported the band portion of the show. They paid for the band.
Oh, that's great.
They actually chose Dave to come. They specifically wanted him to come because I guess it's this woman Susan Eloranta and her family, and her sister Cindy passed away a couple years ago from breast cancer, and she wanted to do something wonderful in her memory because she loved, you know, Dave and his music, and what a you know, great way to commemorate someone's memory, you know, to remember somebody through music.
Yeah,
you know.
and 57 Heavy did the same thing with a tribute to
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really great. We missed you for the fireworks performance.
Oh,
they got postponed, but
they did.
Yeah, that Saturday you performed with Heartbreaker.
Yes.
Yeah. How did that go?
Oh, it was dynamite.
Yeah. It was good.
You know, it was a really big weekend for me personally, but to be able to perform on that stage, like I didn't book us for the Summer of Love program this year because I wanted to give another band a chance. We do have a couple new bands that never played for us before, and you know, I don't want to hug.
Infiltrate.
You know, I mean, you know, it's like I like to give people a fair opportunity, but I still wanted to play. My guys still wanted to play. We love playing the band show, and so we went as scheduled on the Saturday with all the, you know, morning and afternoon activities, and we rocked it out. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great performance. For me personally, I just thought it was fantastic, and the guys just had a great time. The weather was a little weird, and it was hot, but it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Who are we expecting next?
All right, so on the 24th of July, we will see Shattered, female-fronted rock cover band. They play everything, old and new, and you know, rocking your favorites, old and new, is a little slogan that Melissa came up with, a little tagline for the band. They've been around a long time, all locals to Wareham and the area.
Have they performed in the Summer of Love before?
They have, and another weird weather story. Before we had I think it was before we had access to the VFW on the regular, you know. They came, they set up everything, And just as they were about to play, like the sky opened up and it was just this serious deluge of rain. And it was just the look on everybody's faces. I was like, oh my God. I'm like,
What did you do?
well, I ended up having like a makeup show. We did 2 concerts in a week that summer. So we did a Wednesday night at the band shell, and then I think we ended up doing it on a Thursday at the VFW anyway. But I think that was before we had made arrangements with the VFW to use the space on the regular, like when the weather was bad. So I'm happy to have them back. The weather looks good.
Yeah. They're a great resource. It's really nice they use that venue.
Oh my God, they're so fabulous, you know, and you know, they're a nonprofit and they struggle like everyone else too. I mean, you know, if you looked at the pavilion out back, you can see that it needs a new roof, and I know they've been doing some fundraising for that, and you know, they're a great presence in town. They serve a great Wednesday night meal every week, you know, at 6 o'clock for like $8 to $10, depending on what it is.
Good. You guys heard it here. Check it out.
That's right. Every Wednesday night at the Ounce of VFW, home cooked meal. You can be a guest chef. They're doing, actually, there's another pig roast coming up on August 24th. Don't tell PETA. I don't care if you tell PETA. Go ahead and tell PETA.
No, we don't care. Whatever.
No, I don't care. Live and let live, or die, whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, August 24th, Ashley Faye's Family Fun Day is a fundraiser they've been doing for a few years for a local resident that passed away. I don't really know the whole story there, but I know it's, you know, VFW family, and, you know, they're having a fundraiser. So they, you know, they book, you know, gigs all the time, you know, private functions, that kind of thing. So they stay pretty busy.
Yeah, especially with the Summer of Love hanging out there too. Yeah,
they love it when it rains.
Yeah. So we have a purpose.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Yeah,
you guys
so
can take shelter here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Well, any last thoughts or comments or anything?
Well, next week marks the halfway point.
Yeah.
You know, it's 10 shows for the summer, and we're already at show number 5, so, you know, it's a bittersweet milestone. Yeah, just try to slow down and enjoy it all, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming in today.
You're welcome.
Well, you guys have it here. This has been another episode of our Summer of Love podcast show. Check us out on Facebook. Thanks for watching.
Peace.
Well, hello, and thank you for being with us this morning. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather report, and today in history, including more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. And today in world history, Adolf Hitler became the leader of Nazi Party in 1921. After being on the losing side of World War I, Germany was in economic ruin. The Nazi Party would gain power throughout the 1920s, and Hitler will be named Germany Chancellor in 1933, cementing the power of the party in the nation. This would start the chain of events that would begin the Second World War II. And also today in space history, NASA was created in 1958. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration was founded and led the nation's exploration of space, and was created in response to launch of the USSR's Sputnik satellite in 1957. This year marked the 5th anniversary of NASA's historic accomplishment of having a man walk on the moon in 1969. NASA continues to look to the skies to this day to learn more about the universe outside of our little third rock from the sun. And also today for birthdays, we are making 2 shout outs. The first goes to Valdemir, one second. pause it. This is Vladimir Zusworkin, born in 1888. This Russian American helped to develop technology to transmit and receive information for television. We give Zusworkin many thanks for his contributions that have allowed us to bring Good Morning Wareham to all of you. Also, our second birthday shout out goes to Dorothy Horshkin, born in Egypt in 1910. She was a chemist who helped develop methods for protein crystallography. Sorry, my pronunciation, so that we can better visualize proteins. In 1964, she was the third woman to ever be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. And happy birthday to everybody else celebrating their big day today. That's all for today in History segment. To learn more cool historical facts, please go online under history.com. Stay with us. The coffee segment is next. But first, Steve Miller meets with Wareham Free Library's children librarian Marsha Hickey to talk about summer activities. Take a look.
Welcome to the third installment of July's Checkout of the Week at the Wareham Free Library. Today, I'm joined by Marsha Hickey, our children's librarian. Welcome, Marsha.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So I asked you here today because I have some things that are going on with the children's area this summer. Tell me about your summer reading program and all the different activities that you have for children.
Okay. Well, summer reading program is the highlight of the year. And we do an 8-week summer reading program. Right now we're finishing up week 3. Tonight, as a matter of fact, we have a newish program that we do cooking with middle schoolers.
It's called Cooking Adventures, right?
Cooking Adventures. So we're going to do our second one because the first week or the middle week was 4th of July, so we didn't have it. And that's turning out to be tons of fun. They're so enthusiastic. But the whole summer reading program, we call it Garden of Opposites, and we focus in our children's garden a lot. So on Mondays we have story time at the Spinney Memorial Branch at 10:30, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays we have story time here at the main branch. Starts at 9:30, and we bring the children and their families out into the garden, do a variety of activities. We water, we look at how things are growing, like our peppers are really growing, little tomatoes are growing, and we pick things. So the first week we did opposites of like sweet and spicy. And so we had the kids clip all sorts of herbs. And then we had 2 oils. We had a grapeseed oil, which is sweet, and an olive oil, which is tart. And we cut up the herbs and we put the sweet ones in the grapeseed and the tart ones in the olive oil. And then we had homemade bread, and we had the kids try bread with dipping oil.
That's awesome.
And see the difference. And most of those children are small, so they've only had butter on white bread.
Yeah.
After the garden, we come in, we do story time. And story time consists of singing and bubbles and rhymes and musical instruments. And lots of times we end with parachute play. The kids really like that.
Yeah.
And then we go into the activity room, we do crafts. And after the crafts are finished, we have the children wash their hands because we talk about cleanliness with food and food preparation. And then they help us make that. So we have the oil ready, and we ask them to put in the herbs. We ask them to shake in Parmesan cheese and mix it up, and they're part of it. Even we have mint, and so we have them pick the mint and put it in lemonade or put it in water so it sweetens the water.
It's the Garden of Opposites.
So many different things, because opposites is a concept even little children can understand. So we do 8 weeks of that type of programming. Yesterday we had something special because we had the Wareham Gatemen come.
That's right.
And read to the children. But we still did garden time, and part of the opposites, we were talking about seeds versus plants, young versus old. And we took them in back of the library to one of our neighbors, and he raises chickens. So the kids saw the chickens and got to feed the chickens.
But they also got to see the eggs.
They got to see the eggs, which are really cool because they were larger than normal eggs and they were different colors. They were green eggs. So, like for St. Patty's Day, green eggs and ham. But, the first story, the gate.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Apparently that we're going to be running out of time, so we're going to jump straight to a coffee segment. We'll be whittling with Skip White. On this special program, WCTV features Skip White, one of the local artists that you'll find at Elizabeth and Company Home Offerings.
Hello folks, welcome back to Echo over here in Wareham, Massachusetts. We're going to do a little show today on how to make these. This is a gypsy flower made by the Romanian gypsies hundreds of years ago. And they're kind of fun to make. This one happens to be a natural one, probably made out of cedar. And I've actually shellacked it. But we're going to take a minute and I'm going to get you some supplies. And we're going to start making these things. I'm going to start off with something very, very simple. This happens to be a piece of sassafras. I have a very small whittling knife here, nothing big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a saw and I'm going to cut the end of the sassafras. This is a draw pony that I'm sitting on, if you're wondering what this apparatus is. And it holds things still for me so I can work with two hands. This is a draw pony. It's probably 15th, 16th century design. I built it myself a number of years ago. But anyway, now I've cut the end off of this. We have a square piece of wood here. And I'm going to drill a hole. Look at that, the electric drill with no cord. There, I got a nice little hole in that. Now, without using the pony, I'm using this little knife here, I'm going to show you how to make a flower. This is not as green as I would like it. It's a little dry, so it's not going to work as well as green does. But as you watch me get into this wood, that part was too dry. See that? This is interesting. A little bit too dry here. A week ago, that wood was perfect. Now, it's a little bit too dry. But we'll make it work. Look at that. Petals. You can actually feel the wood getting a little wetter as I'm getting further into it. That's curled up pretty good, see it? If you notice, I'm going back and forth on different sides. That's starting to work now, see it? Now watch. Just like a kid whittling a stick to make a point. The only difference is I'm not going all the way down. So we're going to have ourselves a pretty little flower here. I bet it kind of looks like a wooden marigold when I'm done with it. If I wanted to, I could take a orange or yellow paint. I can make a nice yellow marigold. Or paint it white. There we go. Feels good now. A little bit at a time. Oh, there it goes. Look at that, didn't even break. See that? Now, I bet almost everybody here can make this with your jackknife, steak knife, whatever you want to use. We have ourselves a little flower. Okay, now we're going to take this piece of white oak. It's kind of got the design of a dog's hind leg. I'm going to have a little trouble here trying to turn it around, but we'll make it work. I'm going to drill the hole. Don't forget to drill your hole, because after you make a flower, it's really a project trying to drill a hole. You don't want to do it. The hole is drilled. Now, we're going to take a draw knife. That is a draw knife. This is a draw knife. This was a flat one, this is a curved one. They both do different things. We're going to take the rounded one. I'm pulling this out a little ways, and I'm going to take the back off of it. That's why it's called a draw knife. As I draw, I take the back off. Boy, that is like a dog's hind leg. It doesn't want to be held. We'll adjust this because it's adjustable. There we go. Now I'm going to move it. Get it right here. Almost too crooked, isn't it? There. Now, I'll be darned. Don't you dare. Hold on. I'm getting attacked here. The angle I hold it at actually determines what it's going to look like. And what I'm doing here, this is a fairly dry piece of wood also. So I'm pulling them up, making them stand up. They want to be curl. I don't want them to. Every time I do one, I straighten it out. That's going to give me a nice looking flower. I'll do 2 or 3, then I'll stand them up. See it coming? I'm stopping about 1/4 of an inch from the end of the flower. It's a hard piece to hold. It's so crooked. But you know what? It's going to make a beautiful flower. So we'll fight with it. It was an ugly stick. But turning into a flower. Yep, that's it. Another one. Put it right in here. See the difference? Size, shape. Kind of fun. We're going to make quite a little bouquet by the time we're through here. I'll put these 2 here. All right, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get some. This is a nice piece of sassafras. Now, sassafras is a very, very common wood in this area, and I'm going to cut some pieces off of it. They've been laying outdoors, and I think they're nice and wet, which means that they'll make a beautiful flower. Oh, I can already smell it. Oh, I love the smell of sassafras. If you haven't smelled it, it smells just like root beer. Years ago in the 16, 17, 1800s, sassafras root is what they used to make root beer. Then they found out that there was a bad chemical in the oil, so they stopped making it because it made rats sick. And then somebody figured out how to make LSD out of it, so they stopped using it totally. That's just the oil. I like sassafras tea. That hasn't got any oil in it. Now there's a nice piece. This is a piece of linden. I just went out and got it. And I'm going to clean off the little branches and stuff so I can turn it easily once I put my glasses on. So I don't cut myself. And I'm just going to clean it up a little bit at a time. What I'm going to make out of this is a big flower. And I think if I play my cards right, I'll end up with a sunflower. We'll make it yellow and it'll be a sunflower. We make it some other color and it won't be a sunflower. Now, we'll turn this around, feed it in here. That's not going to work, is it? All right. We'll just take this out and put something else in. It'll give me more room to work with. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, first thing I'm going to do is cut this, square it off, and then after I square it off, drill the hole. If you don't drill the hole, you're going to hate yourself. All right. If we don't drill the hole, you're going to hate yourself. Perfect. Perfect. See, in the olden days, this is what they used to do to make spokes for wheels. Same thing I'm doing right now. All right, now we start the flower. This is going to be a big flower. Now, you know, it's funny, I just said I was going to make a sunflower, and I'm doing it wrong for a sunflower. So, what do I do in a case like that? I've already started. I think what I'll do is use this for the base. Then I'm going to switch over my spoke shavers. And I'll use a different one. See if I can get better looking petals for a sunflower. I'm going to use this for almost like a stop. And I'm going to try the other spoke shaver and see if I can get you a sunflower. This, a blacksmith friend of mine made for me. It was a file, and he made a draw knife for me. So we're going to try using it on here. Now what this is going to do, it gives me a nice straight petal. Nice straight petal. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Oops. And you're going to lose a lot of them. You're not going to get them all. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right, now. We're getting there. I'm pulling this pretty hard, believe it or not. And very straight. And if you don't pull it straight, I'll get that curlicue look that I don't want. Remember I said I was going to make a sunflower. That's what we're working on. I don't make a lot of these because they're almost work. I'm not really into that work stuff. Once in a while I make one. All right, now, you can stay with me for a minute or I'll stop, one or the other, because what I want to do now, we're going to start flattening this, making it look like a sunflower. So, what I'm going to do, we're stopping here, I'm switching back over to this one, and I'm going to drag this up here and make that stand up. See what's happening? That's piling up inside here and pushing the petals back and keeping them there. So it should start looking like the center of a sunflower. If I did it right. I do two different things when I make these. Sometimes I just do this for a little bit, and then I'll cut this right off close to the edge. And then I'll just do the whole thing yellow. And people say, oh, it's a sunflower. Yep, you want it to be. Otherwise, it's just a wooden flower that's yellow. That's that. Now I'm going to take this, put it here. I hold it by the base, squeeze pretty tight. Sunflower. Okay, I have some 91% alcohol here, rubbing alcohol. It's time to color these flowers now. It was kind of fun making them. I've got a little cap here that I put some alcohol in, like a little brush here. Now sunflowers are yellow, a good color. So I put some yellow dye, food coloring, in there, so if the cats or kids want to chew on it, it won't hurt them any. There's what we did today. It's kind of fun, wasn't it? Until next time, thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the adventure of making Romanian gypsy flowers. Take care.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning for another episode of Good Morning Wareham. Thank you for being with us. We'll return on Wednesday. However, if you missed us this morning, this episode will re-air this evening at 6 p.m. With that, as I said, we're going to return on Wednesday. We're actually going to have guests on Wednesday for a coffee segment. So it's going to be an exciting show. Okay, stay cool, Wareham. Bye.